Hello, congratulations to you for
Thank you.
your work, being selected in this exhibition. I really like observing your work, and obviously, I would like to know more about the process, if possible. I'm curious about it. I mean, I have my own idea about how you might be working, but obviously, it's better to hear it from the source.
Yes. Well, there are the two aspects. There's the process in that how do I come up with this idea, but I'll start with the process and how I actually create them and how I started down this path. So, many years ago, I just started working with actually still lifes and landscapes and creating these circular images. They are digital manipulations. What I try to do is I try to make several copies back and forth so that it's seamless. And usually it
Mhm.
has to be in a pair number, and then I wrap it into a circle.
Okay.
These three that are selected here are interesting because um, two belong to one series, and the first one you saw belongs to a different series. But all three of these actually are a little bit more photo representative of what they are. So the one on the
Mhm.
left is actually a door from, the source image is a door from Notre Dame in Paris. And you might be able to see some of the details in the wood or whatever with it. And the lion's head or something, that's part of the knocker on the door itself. And that's part of my
Okay.
series for enlightenment, which is talking
Mhm.
about, humanity's achievements, the ability to have wisdom through the ages and how that permeates into our existence. I was trying to do a very positive aspect on that,
Mhm.
mainly because the sister series, Out of the Darkness, deals with healing and reconciliation and commemoration from tragic events. And
Hmm.
the top one on the right is actually Barcelona. It
Yes.
comes from Palau, the source image is from the Palau Güell. It's just some ornamentation in the master bedroom. And
Okay.
I used that one actually, and it was the start of this series because just 4 days after I had left, there was that terrorist attack on Las Ramblas.
Oh, yes.
And to me, that was just jarring to think that, it just can happen to anybody at any time. And that's how that series was somewhat conceived. The piece below it, though, is a little bit more historic. And that one is actually, you can't actually see the domes of it, but it was actually only two or three domes of the synagogue in Berlin.
Okay.
I think it's the Neue Synagogue, it's called, which Neue, meaning new, is not always new. It might be, a couple of 100 years old. But that one is actually to commemorate the commemorate and commend those people that survived the damage of Kristallnacht back in 1936, I think, when the Nazis went through and ransacked the different Jewish neighborhoods.
Hmm.
So each piece in the Out of the Darkness has some sort of commemorative healing part, and I touch on different things. It did start initially as terrorism, but I have moved on to different pieces, and I'm actually happy to announce, or well, first, just to say, I did have a solo show here in Toronto. We have a
Mhm.
big photography festival every June, and I did have other pieces from these two series up. But of those two other pieces, I do have one that is of Montevideo and another one called Buenos Aires. And each of those pieces are now going, they are being accepted as a gift into the different consulates here. So I will have a piece in the Argentinian consulate that's going in next Thursday, and then as well the Uruguayan as well, and that will be an undetermined date. So it's been interesting. It's a journey in more than one aspect. The work doesn't actually just begin when I sit down at the computer. There's a lot of thinking that goes beforehand There's the element of travel and opportunity and finding the correct source image. And there is a lot of editing in finding the different, source images that will work. Not everything always works. I will tell you
Mm.
that. It's a labor of love. And when the computer work can be short duration, maybe 6 hours, long duration could be several days because I need to let it
Mm.
sit and percolate and think about it.
Of course. First of all, congratulations for your achievements, and also thank you very much for explaining the process. They are striking to me, probably also because of my previous experience as assistant to a Tibetan monk in mandala classes back in Bali a few years ago. The first one in particular reminds me the Tibetan mandala because it has this square structure in the middle, and the doors actually are some symbolic features that are present in mandalas in the Tibetan tradition, especially. And the other ones, they recall, I would say, Indian mandalas. Or for me, I've been participating also to some numerology-based mandalas in the Indian tradition, and I really love the repetition of patterns. Actually, numbers can create patterns, and this is another interesting story that got reminded by your work while I was examining it. And I really like that you collect these architectural features of interiors of landmarks, and then you create these multi-layered digital collages,
Yes.
I would say, and then they turn into these mesmerizing mandalas. So it's interesting also to see how the digital manipulation can produce something so spiritual. I would say something so. How can I say? I think that also that your act in this case is to layer trimmings of time in a circular form, and I guess that your state is meditative because this is also what the states that gets projected, irradiated. I don't know if it's the right term by these mandalas. And the question here is, was for me, how does the creation of a pattern of beauty through repetition of form influence our inner state? So, how are your works acting, yes, on the viewer state? And I think that people stay there and watch them for a long time and get this meditative state that probably you are experiencing as well.
No,
Mm.
thank you very much. No, that's it exactly. I didn't want to go on, but the mandala aspect is intentional, and the geometric repetitions are also intentional. I had heard somebody once comment that mandalas are almost like thought palaces, and it's
Mhm.
very absorbing and brings you in. And for me, this work is very cathartic. It's very soothing and ideal. And I think about the issue, and it's a way of making peace, and hence the idea of creating something beautiful out of something that may not have originally been beautiful, or may have been more mundane, but definitely. But thank you for your words. I can see you really get it.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure.